Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday Wake Up. Today's session is going to be bringing you Tom Ferry's 9 Habits to Super Momentum. Tom Ferry, of course, along with Brian Buffini and actually Tom Ferry's father, Mike Ferry, who has a separate company. Those are kind of the big three in coaching and training for the real estate business. So let's set up here. Pardon me while I connect my iPad to this to show the presentation. Okay, here we go. 9 habits to super momentum. You know, we usually talk about habits, attitudes, and skills. That's really the way Peak Producers talks about things, to remind us to keep all of those in mind. Most of our classes focus on skills and tools. Today, we're going to focus specifically on habits and disciplines, because those are the place where most of the time things break down for us most often is when we may know a lot of things, have a lot of good tools, but if we don't have the habits and disciplines to make the best use of those tools, that knowledge and those skills, then we're not going to be as successful as we could. So today we're talking all about habits to help us achieve momentum. We all know what it's like when we're on a roll or in the groove. You know, the Olympics are just over. There's a lot of good basketball, so swish, you know how good that feels. You make a 3-point shot. If you're a golfer, you have a great shot, whatever. You all know when playing tennis or your favorite sport or whatever, what it feels like to be on a roll or in the groove. That's momentum. We all experience it from time to time. Some of you newer agents may have not had this yet, but in our business, we know when we're on a roll and we've got momentum. We've just won 5 straight competitive listing presentations. Boom. Everything we negotiate, we get what we want for our clients. We have inspection reports that come back from the buyers that says the house is perfect and we'll take it as is. Wow. You know, we're on a roll. The only problem with that is that most of the time that doesn't last for us. So, you know, the route is straight ahead, but somehow we manage to get off track. Some of the things that we do that cause us to get off track, and this is just human nature, you know, we make a misstep, and all of a sudden, or a mistake or something, or we forget something because we're on such a roll, we're not really being working consciously and conscientiously. We have a mistake or a misstep. And we begin to lose confidence. And again, the main thing is we have a lack of disciplines and habits. We may have been lucky when we're on that roll. But if we don't have those disciplines and habits in place and something goes wrong, it's easy to really fall off that signboard like that line there. Another big problem is a lack of well-defined goals. You may be on a roll. Things are going really, really well for a while. But then if you get to a point this time of the year or a couple of months from now when the summer busy time is over, many agents that I've talked to, many of whom are very successful, sort of say, well, now what should I do now, Dave? I don't have any prospects right now. Okay, we needed to have some well-defined goals to keep that business going. So we're going to be jumping out of that groove and off that roll. You know, negative thinking gets in our way a lot too. Again, you make a mistake, you have a misstep, something doesn't go the way you expected it to because you've been on such a roll and in the groove so well. And all of a sudden that negative voice, well, gosh, maybe this isn't the right thing, or maybe I don't know what I'm doing, or wow, I've been really lucky. So those are some of the things that cause the momentum to stop and for us to get off track on that. So the key question, and what Tom Ferry's comments are talking about, his 9 habits, are what can I do to create and maintain momentum so that I'm making the most of every day and every opportunity, like, you know, making transferring that energy from one of those ball bearings to the next one. So here's the key. Very simple. Small wins day after day produces the momentum that we need, and that's what leads to massive results. Think about that. Small wins day after day. What a great concept to stop and think about it. Don't be worrying about the big stuff. Yes, have long-term plans and goals, but small wins day after day. That's what leads to momentum for us. So the key is not trying harder. The key is having systems and habits, disciplines that yield those small wins, and those equal momentum. So we're going to get into now Tom Ferry's suggestions of the 9 habits that will lead to helping us with having these daily systems, daily habits and disciplines to give us those small wins that we can celebrate every day. So The 9 Powerful Habits from Tom Ferry. First of all, we're going to start with some questions to ask yourself. 4 questions. What do I need to do more of? What do I need to do less of? And what habits do I need to start? What habits do I need to stop? So think about these things for a second. What do I need to do more of? Well, the answer to that is not, I need to sell more houses. That's a result. And we've talked before in one of Tom Ferry's presentations about making sure we don't confuse the result with the tactic needed, the action needed to achieve that result. So yeah, we need to sell more houses. That's always the case. But what do I need to do tactically every day to get there? Do I need to be maybe making more phone calls to my inactive clients in my sphere of influence because I'm working mainly by referrals? And if I drop the ball on having those coffees, doing those cards and pop buys, do I, as a newer agent, do I need to do more making phone calls on for sale by owners and expired listings and put a program into place to do that to begin to build my business? Do I need to do more open houses as a newer agent and be more effective at that? And by the way, next week, Lisa Treadwell, who built her business initially with a great program doing expired listings and for sale by owners, is going to be doing a class sharing the systems and tools, the letters and approaches that she used to build her business for that. So don't miss that class next week on building your business through for sale by owners and expired listings. So what do I need to do more of? We all know pretty much what that is. And again, the answer to that is not, I need to sell more houses or I need more listings. The answer to that question is, what do I need to do every day to achieve those goals? What do I need to do less of? Do I need to do less of sleeping late in the morning? Do I need to do less of going up, hanging out with my friends, at the brew pub until 11 or 12 o'clock at night on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday nights, and struggle to get up in the morning? Do I need to play a little less golf? What is the thing that you're doing that you know right now is getting in the way of you achieving those daily winning activities? And then what habits? Obviously, that sort of takes it to the next step. What habits? Gosh, I need to make more phone calls to referrals, to achieve referrals if that's what I'm doing. I need to make more concerted efforts on for sale by owners and expired. Okay, what habits do I need to start? I need to block out every Wednesday morning or every Tuesday and Thursday mornings from 9 to 11 to work on X. So this is when we lead into the habits. And then, again, what habits do I need to stop? That brew pub evenings, I mean, I love brew pubs myself, but that may not be the best thing to do unless you're getting 5 referrals from your time at the brew pub. So, number 2, focus on your morning routine. This is a tough one for many of us in this business. Focus on your morning routine. Tom Ferry talks about this. Gino Blafari talks about this. When you look around our offices, most of the agents you see in here at 8:30, 9 o'clock are the ones who are the most successful. Now, you may think, well, they have to be in here that early because they've got a lot of business. No, that's not the way it works. They're in here because they're generating business, they're making calls, they're setting up their days, they're prioritizing things, and they're scheduling their priorities to build their business. And that means focusing on a morning routine. The most common thing in this world is that if you do things in the morning, you can control your day. Control your morning and set the tone for your day. Don't forget to think about those affirmations. Gino Blafari talks about affirmations, those positive things that we can list. Peak Producers has a list of 7 affirmations. Several agents I know in our office have those up on their wall to look at when they come in the morning. Those things that I am on top of the game. I am, those positive things to get us into a positive frame of mind. And then be thinking first thing about the goals that you have and what you want to achieve for that day. Remember, we talk about this one a lot. The key is to schedule your priorities, not to prioritize your schedule. This business is one with lots of interruptions, lots of ups and downs. Saturday night at 11:30 or 10:30 at night, I got an inspection response. It was an hour and a half before the deadline when it would have been, they would have accepted the house as is. We had assumed, having not heard anything for 2 weeks, although they did the inspection, that they probably were going to accept it. So that was a shock to me. So I was kind of upset that night, but the next morning I got up, set up my priorities, what I needed to focus on, how I needed to approach that, controlled the morning, had a great conversation with my clients, and we're moving along very positively with that one. So, but we get interruptions. That's my point. And too often in this business, I find agents talking about how busy they are. And when I talk about, well, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on? Well, I had a sign call and I ran out to show a house. Okay, that's great that you got a sign call on a listing or a floor call or something, but was going out immediately and showing that house. Well, it turned out they were only interested in renting, and their mother's thinking about moving to town in 5 years, and so they thought they'd like to see that house because they thought that might work for their mother-in-law in 5 years. So you've just wasted your time by reacting. All too often we react and respond to things. We get a call from a client and we know there's nothing important going on. Don't answer that phone call from that client. Listen to the message quickly. I talk about this a lot. Listen to the message to make sure it isn't some emergency that you need to deal with, and then get back to them after you've worked on your big rocks, after you've had your hour of power. If they call you during the time that you're scheduled to focus on your priorities, and our priorities really should be all of these people, Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, Brian Buffini, they all talk about it. The top priority needs to be marketing and sales to build our business, whether it's by referral, by FSBOs and expired listings. That has to be our top priority. Remember, we don't spend the most time on that. We never spend the most time on that because that time is worth 5 hours of doing other things. So we're going to spend a lot more time doing deals, doing transactions. But the key is if you find yourself reacting to things as opposed to scheduling and sticking with your priorities, you will never get to those big rocks and get them in that jar. You won't get to those priorities. So schedule your priorities, live up to them, control your morning as opposed to reacting and responding to things. And you set the tone for the day. Think how good you feel. You know what this is like. You have Saturday morning and you need to cut the grass, mulch the front yard, bed, and everything like that. If you sit around and drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee and complain to yourself about how nasty hot it's going to be later in the day, and then finally you get outside and do that, it just doesn't feel as good. But boy, you get out there, you have a quick cup of coffee, you get out there before it gets too hot, get that work done. It feels good. That's momentum. That's controlling the day. So number 3 from Tom Ferry, pre-schedule your most important new behavior. So here we're talking about not just the things you need to do, but the disciplines and the behaviors that you want to include for yourself. If you want to spend 5 days a week, 1 hour from 8:30 to 9:30, prospecting expired listings or calling people to set up coffees and sending out cards to inactive clients or active clients or things like that, doing that marketing things. Put it in your calendar. Block it out. So pre-schedule those things. That's what we were just talking about, so that you get those big rocks done. Put in the stops and starts, the starts and stops. When am I going to do this? Schedule it. Don't just say, I'm going to do this in the morning. No, set it on a time frame, 8:30 to 9:30, 9 to 10, whatever. Control the morning. Put those in there. Put them in your calendar. Remember, something that's planned gives you less uncertainty and less drama in your world. Now, uncertainty, you can control that a lot. Drama, sometimes we think we can't control that. And this business certainly does have a lot of drama. Brian Buffini in his Peak Producers Trading sort of jokes about this, how realtors oftentimes love to walk around the office telling about the horrible situation they have, the horrible client that they had, and just complaining up one side and down the other. And ideally, then telling what they did to solve the problem. But all too often we see situations where that's not the case. People get caught up in the drama. Number one, that can make us feel good. We're doing something important, or we got caught in a tough situation. So be careful allowing yourself to be caught up in the drama and prolonging something that can be taken care of. So something that's planned, organizing your time, and having more and more tools and skills to deal with the drama will make it less dramatic and allow you to be more in control. So the key with pre-scheduling or scheduling your priorities is what to do and when to do it. Wow, as opposed to, I remember when I first started in the business, and every now and then I will admit, you sort of wake up and you go, well, what am I going to do today? We all experience that from time to time. And gosh, if we live by reacting to client needs or situations, you don't have any of those. What are you going to do with your day? So number 3, pre-schedule and set your priorities and schedule them. So number 4, this can be a tough one. This is where I find in our business that agents struggle the most, and that is up your accountability level. The great thing about this business, there's no ceiling. You can make as much money and sell as many houses as you like. Become very, very super wealthy. There's a lot of really, really wealthy people in this business. And most of those people have set for themselves a very thorough approach to their own accountability. The people who don't make it in the business most of the time are the people who are struggling, people who have plateaued in the business and want to try to take it to the next level. One of the things we often find in coaching and training and management sessions with them to try to help them achieve those goals is that they've not been holding themselves as accountable as they know they should. We all know we need to do this. Again, the great thing is in this business, I'm my own boss. I have my own business. I'm in the real estate business, man. It's great. If I want to take a day off, no problem. I do that. That's great. Well, and that is a cool thing of it. You do have the flexibility to go to your kid's softball game at 2:00 in the afternoon, in the evenings or whatever, and take your wife out or your spouse out for dinner or whatever when you want to. We do have that flexibility. However, as our own owner of our own company, we are also our own employee. Most of us don't sort of stop and think about that. As our own employee, that means as the boss, we're responsible to make sure our employee does what is needed to get the job done and for the company to be profitable. So one of the primary things that most CEOs are responsible for is making sure that their organization does what the board of directors asks them to do and wants them to do to make a profit. So you're your own boss. That's great. But you're making the biggest mistake you can make if you don't hold yourself as employee accountable all the time for what you're doing. So drop the excuses. We all have those. I have them all the time. My wife can say, I can start to talk and my wife will say, oh, and you're going to say da, 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 da. So, we all know that. We all have excuses. I prefer to call them rationalizations myself. So if I say that, my wife will say, no, they're excuses. They're not rationalizations. They're excuses. So if you hear yourself doing that, that's one of the good habits to establish for yourself. Stop allowing yourself the habit of making excuses. Well, I'm uncomfortable making phone calls. Or, well, I had to go to the brew pub and didn't get in until midnight, and so it's really tough for me to get up at 9. Okay, stop those excuses and change those habits that get in your way, that provide those. Excuses is one thing. Fears is another. And we all share those. We all have those. I did a session not long ago from Tom Ferry on, making prospecting calls. And we talked about the fear of calling somebody on the phone. I had the picture of the claw reaching out of the telephone. That's a real fear. We have fears of making a presentation, perhaps for a listing, mainly because we haven't done it very much. So when you recognize that, I really don't like doing expired listings. I don't like doing open houses or whatever it might be. Wow, that's great. You've just discovered something where, especially as a newer agent, where you need to try all these things and see where you might have some success. You've just given yourself a great pathway to go to your manager, your coach, to get some training. Okay, I realize that I'm scared to death to make phone calls, and I know that making phone calls to my past clients, my inactive clients, FSBOs and expireds, and going to open houses and talking to people is crucial in this business. What can you do to help me overcome that fear? So step 1 is recognizing what you have fear of. Write these things down, make notes of them, and then get some help. That's what our company is all about, is providing ongoing, personalized, customized training, coaching, management. Believe me, our sales team, management team, and our coaching and training, we all talk, we all share things, and we all share ideas. I get lots of great ideas for some of the things I do in training situations from the managers, because they hear things from agents. And that's where we all learn so many things about, whoa, this was an issue. I'd never thought about that. How did you handle that? That's great. And many times agents come up with the solutions as well. So we're always looking to improve what we can do to be of help, because our goal is to help you at whatever level you are at. And that's true for all of the managers in all of our offices, the coaching and the training and all those systems. So up your accountability, drop your excuses, Think about your fears, recognize them, and note them, and then get some help from coaching, training, your managers, all about those. So that's a big one. Number 5. This is where it begins to get a little bit more fun, okay? We've been talking about the fears and the excuses and things. Now, create incentives and maybe some consequences for yourselves as well. But mainly, I like to think about what are the incentives. I was talking with a newer agent who's joined us recently, and I asked him what his big why was. You know, we in Buffini Peak Producers, we talk a lot about what's your big why when we're talking about working with clients. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what's your big why? Not just you want to buy a 4-bedroom house instead of a 3-bedroom house, but what's your big why? Aha, you want to have Timmy and Sally in that new school district. Or as I had with a client earlier this year, they wanted their commute, the husband's commute to his office, to be cut down from 20 minutes to 10 minutes. I said, seriously? And they said, yes. So I sold their house, which I'd helped them buy 5 years ago, and we bought another house that was 10 minutes closer. So I thought, wow, that's great. But that was their big why. They had 2 children under the age of 2.5 years old, and the father wanted to be able to come home at lunchtime. Wow. Talk about a personal big why. That was huge for them, and I respected that. So now, talking about for yourself, what are your big whys? I started to mention the new agent that I was chatting with, and I asked him what his big why was. He said he has 2 kids that he wants to make sure they can go through college and not have to take out 1 penny of student loans. So he wants to start right now making money, saving, and he's been in the business for a while, saving money and with a target of doing a wonderful thing for his kids, because so many younger people these days are strapped with gigantic levels of student debt, and that's one of the things that's slowing down first-time homebuyers out there these days. So, but what is your big why? You know, that's a picture of some people walking along a beautiful road in Tuscany. Do you want to retire to Tuscany and buy a villa in Tuscany? You know, what's your big why? Think big. Do you want to get married and move to a special location or get a second home on Lake Wawasee or in Boulder, Colorado? What's your big why? And keep that in mind. One of the things that many of these coaching and training sessions talk about, Peak Producers does this, and I know there are several agents in our office who have these. They talk about doing a visual, a vision board where you think about all the things of your big why and cut pictures or draw pictures if you're artistic or whatever out of magazines and put all those on a poster and put them in your office so that you can every day look at that and see that vacation in Tuscany, you know, your kids with a diploma in their hand, whatever those things are, and all the different things that might be of importance to you that you want to enjoy in life. Now, the other thing, too, is sort of the other side of that. What is the pain to avoid? Most of the time, we do things, unfortunately, psychologically, we do things oftentimes more to avoid pain than we do to enjoy the incentives. So here's the key. If you focus on the incentives, your big why, and the positive things, that hopefully will generate enough momentum for you that you don't have to worry about that pain part. Obviously, we all know what the pain could be if you don't make money in the job, in this business or whatever, and you have to find another job, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't even want to go there. So think about what are the incentives for yourselves. Do a vision board. Talk with your spouse. Talk with your friends and family, whatever, and create incentives for yourself to get you motivated. So number 6. This is we're getting now into the things to create those daily wins. Create a short-term marketing plan for yourself. What are you going to do every week? What am I going to do this week for marketing myself? Remember, marketing and sales, what Peak Producers calls the rainmaking aspect of things, is job 1. That's the top priority for us. So what am I going to do every week in marketing myself? Am I going to spend on Tuesday from 9 to 10 sending out expired listing letters, Thursday from 9 to 10 calling expired listing on the phone? Put together a plan for yourself with tools, with timing, and this kind of thing. And here's where you really begin to, again, dig a little deeper. Knowing my strengths, what are the most impactful activities that I can do? Again, as newer agents, or if you have some of those fears, phone calling, dealing with expireds. You recognize that it would be great to do open houses or expireds, but I hate them, and yet my business isn't growing, or my business is plateaued, and I need some more new clients to add to my list. I think I would like to do open houses. Okay, what do I need to do to adjust my marketing and learn to be able to do those things? So how many calls, emails, coffees, and things should I do? How many pop buys? And one of the great things that we talk about in Peak Producers in most of these training programs is doing an annual business plan. And we've got a business plan form, if you haven't seen it or done it, that starts with how much money you want to take home in order to achieve that vacation home in Tuscany, the college education for 2 kids, and how much money that is. How much money do you want to make and bring home every year so that you can save enough to achieve that goal? And then based on your average sale price, or a market average sale price if you're newer, your average commission rate, your average split with the company, and so forth, how many homes do I have to sell? And then after that, if to sell 1 home, I need to have had 5 prospects to get one to the closing table. To get 5 prospects, I might need to make 20 phone calls to get each prospect. So that's 100 phone calls to get 5 prospects to get 1 closing. Wow, that tells you what you need to do every day, how many calls, emails, cards, et cetera, et cetera. We really think in terms of something like up to 10 to 20 calls, contacts a day are necessary in this business. So think about that. Organize your short-term marketing plan, what you're going to do. Obviously, that includes tools and flyers and various things like that. That includes sending out action plans from our resource center. That includes doing open houses and doing social media. All of those things fall into this. So there's a lot to do with this. And our key and the recommendation to create that momentum, remember, you control the morning, you control the overall feeling of the day. Get into the habit of doing these things. We're here to help you learn these things if you don't know how to do them. One thing, I think it's 2 weeks from now, Greg Cooper is going to do a great class for us on how to use videos to really build our business. And we have this app called Videolicious. That's something that Berkshire Hathaway has gotten, that we have it for free. It's on our iPhone that you can use this app. It's fabulous. It's not just doing videos. You can talk. Oh, it's fabulous. So don't miss that class in 2 weeks. So create a short-term marketing plan, and again, create a visual plan for yourself. Now, this is not the vision board, the why, but sometimes it helps people to sort of see and have on their wall or on their desk, a time blocking thing with even maybe some visuals of what you're going to do when. So number 7, again, we're digging deeper. Feed the funnel. This is what this is all leading to. You got to feed the funnel to keep those contacts going. Remember, the key to this business, we talked about this last week, is your contacts. Remember, the people in your database are both the heart, because they are people, and the key is to have great relationships with these people. They're both the heart and the assets of your business, the value of your business. And remember the image that I showed last week of money sticking out from a mattress. If you don't use a CRM and you have your contacts all on sticky notes and pieces of paper and some in an Excel spreadsheet, that's like putting your money under the mattress. It isn't doing any work for you. So you got to feed the funnel. You got to add to that contact list every week, every day. The goal is to add people, because people will fall off of that. But if you want to grow your business, you've got to add people to it. So your hour of power, I have here, and I will pass out to the people in the classroom, hour of power sheets. Do not disturb, it says, and you can put these on your door or on the wall of your cubicle when you're doing this hour of power, telling people that please don't stick your head in my door and say, hey, do you know where the pencil sharpener is? Okay, so please, I'm doing my hour of power. So here's the key. You got to focus on this. This is one of the most important things you really should be doing every day. Lisa's going to talk about this. Mitch Morales, who's going to get involved helping us with prospecting, is going to be talking about this. And here's some of the things that you can say. Do you know anyone thinking of selling or buying a home? Are you thinking of selling or buying a home? Do you know anyone who tried to sell but it didn't work? These can be phone calls. These can be door knocking. These can be open house calls and things. But these are the crucial things. Obviously, this is not the dialogue to get to this point. You talk about other things as well. But this is what you want to get to in your conversations with people when you're talking. Do you know of anybody thinking about buying or selling? Are you thinking of selling? Have you had any thoughts of buying or selling? I prefer it that way. Have you had any thoughts about buying or selling? And remember, we talked before, if the answer to that question is, well, nah, no, not really, the open door is then for us to follow up to say, I noticed some hesitation there. If you were thinking about buying or selling, where would you be looking to move to? That's what people, again, remember, most people sell a house in order to move somewhere else, whether it's to downsize, upsize, get into a school district. So that's the follow-up question to that one. And then remember that last one there, the mayor campaign. This is right out of Brian Buffini, the mayor campaign. And you remember I've talked before with Gino Blafari does this still every Saturday morning, wherever he is, even when he's traveling. He does a workout and then goes to his Starbucks, usually by 6:30 in the morning, and he sits there chatting people up, and he invariably gets to the mayor campaign, and he tells me that he gets still 1 or 2 referrals a month. He doesn't sell anymore, but he refers them out, and in his market, the average sale price is in 7 figures, so think about that, 20-25% of a 3% commission on that kind of number. That's worth some money. The mayor campaign from Peak Producers, here's what it is. You talk to somebody, you're chatting, you meet them at Starbucks or whatever, and invariably, usually the conversation goes around to, so what do you do for a living? You ask them if they haven't asked you. Usually then they'll say, so what do you do? And then your response to that is usually, I help people buy and sell houses. Please don't say I sell houses. There is a psychological thing that most people have when anybody's talking to you says, I sell. We usually there's a psychological closing of the mind there that's very subtle. So be careful saying I sell houses, because that psychological thing that we all have. So I help people buy and sell houses. I'm in real estate. Oh, well, that's cool. Usually people might say, oh, how's the market? What's going on? So you talk about it, because most people say that. Now, here's the mayor campaign. After you've had a little bit of chit chat about you being in real estate and the market or whatever, you say to them, hey, I'm just curious, or would you do me a favor? Can I ask you a question? As if you're like doing research. Can I ask you a question? If you or a close family member or a friend were thinking about buying or selling a house, do you have a professional that you would use to, or recommend that they use to help you with what's, for most people, the biggest personal financial decision they ever make? That's a different thing that I love to put the spin on it. The biggest financial decision that most people make, personal financial decision. And for most people it is. Out in Gino's market it might not be, but for most of us here, that is the biggest financial decision. So that puts a little different spin on it than just saying to somebody, oh, you thinking about buying or selling? So if they say, oh yeah, we do, then I always say, oh, that's great, I know so many people. Who do you work with? And then they may say, well, it was an agent with ABC, and it's been 5 or 6 years ago since, what, did they do a good job for you? Were you happy? Well, okay. Well, the key then, the second item of the mayor campaign is that, you know what, I would love to earn the right to be that person that you would use or recommend whenever the time came for you. Would you mind, sharing your email address with me, and keep in touch with you. I, from time to time, send out information on what's going on in the real estate market, things to do with financing and interest rates and things like that. Would that be of interest to you? Again, it's fairly harmless. And Gino obviously has people who frequently say yes, and you can do it. So the mayor campaign, do you have somebody that you would recommend? And I would like to earn the right to be that person. I love that phrase. I'd love to earn the right to be that person. So feeding the funnel, that really is job one, guys. CEO, rainmaker, sales and marketing. And you've got to develop the habit of doing that on a regular basis, whatever your level is. If you want to sell 5 houses a year, that's fine. Then your level of doing this may be a little bit different. If you want to get to the 5 to 10 to $20 million level, you're going to have to spend more time doing this and be more organized with it. So number 8, build your confidence daily. Again, daily wins are going to do that naturally for us if we do these little things and have success. If you say to yourself the first day, I want to make 3 phone calls today. Well, again, remember, leaving a voicemail or hanging up doesn't count. You got to talk to somebody on the phone for that to count as 3 phone calls. So, 3 to 5 phone calls, that can be a fair amount for you to do. So, but the key to this is to move beyond your limiting beliefs. If you go into this, we've talked about fear of making phone calls. We're here to give you dialogues, to give you guidance, to do role playing with you, to help you get used to that feeling. And one of the things there is in some of this going to be some rejection. and negativity. So you're going to have to get used to that. And so role playing is a great way to do that. Having dialogues is a great way to do that, so you know what to say and how to go about it. And you want to make those your own, of course. And stop thinking about limits about how many homes or people or issues. You know, if you've been in this business for a few years, you've been selling $2 million for the last 3 years, which is not too bad. But you'd like to get to 5, but somehow you haven't been able to do it. Make sure you're not saying to yourself, gosh, maybe all I can do is $2 million. Maybe that's my limit. Well, if that's your thought, that's not going to help you. And we're here from a training, coaching, and management standpoint to help you. Okay, what are you doing? How many calls are you making? Let's track your time, what we need to do to help you get from $2 million to $5 million and to really put a lot more money toward your big why for you. The key, again, as we've said, is daily discipline. Daily discipline every day, and getting those small wins that you can feel like you're achieving some things. So one of the things we like to say, feeling tired? Make more calls. So you've got to get over that hump. You will feel tired. There will be rejection in there, and you're going to have to hit that place where you recognize, okay, my big why, I told myself I was going to make 5 calls today. I've got 3 done. It's 10 o'clock. In the morning, I was going to go do something else, but I don't have to do that right now. I'm going to make more phone calls. That's the key to think about that, to work through the tough spot. Just like when you're working out and you get to that point where you hit the wall. If you're running a marathon, you got to keep going. You don't stop when you hit the wall. So, and don't listen to your negative voices there. Don't listen to your negative voices. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not showing on the screen. I apologize. I don't know what to do about that. It says don't listen to your negative voices. There. Sorry about that. I need to check the screen resolution there. So that's number 8. So now moving on now to number 9 of the powerful habits to super momentum. Very simply, you got to commit to your success. You got to make a commitment in your own mind. It's not to anybody else. It's not to your coach. It's not to your trainer. It's not to your manager. It's not to your accountability partner. Although having an accountability partner and making that commitment to them can be good, it's got to be to yourself. And you've got to really genuinely mean that when you say, I'm committing to do this, because this is a lot of work. The rewards to this business can be marvelous. Lots of money can be made in this business. Lots of flexibility and freedom that you can have when you get on a roll and things are going well and you're in control. The decision is yours. Are you ready to get off the roller coaster? Again, sorry about the screen resolution there, not showing the bottom of that. So this business is a roller coaster, ups and downs, seasonally, ups and downs with how we're doing, and there isn't a steady stream of people lined up outside our door. So it is a roller coaster, but the better you control these things and all of these aspects of it, you can smooth out those and make them rollers as opposed to roller coasters. Peaks and valleys. You can smooth those out. But the decision is yours, and you need to make the commitment if you want to do that. And these are great tips for you and habits and disciplines to make use of. And again, we're here, the management team, the coaching and training are all here to help you with this, but you've got to be the ones to make that commitment. Nobody else can do it for you. And I hope you'll do that. So again, the skill of knowing tools and mindsets and dialogues to win the morning. I really want to start preaching this. You got to win the morning, folks, along with the habits of consistently producing and celebrating the daily small wins. Celebrate when you get your 5 calls made. Celebrate that when you do those 5 handwritten notes that for people that you met at the open house. Celebrate those things when you get those things set up. Those are great achievements for you, and they do lead to the bigger ones. All that's going to lead to a healthier attitude of giving you more confidence in knowing you control being in the groove. And we all want to be in the groove and on the roll and on a roll and swish those 3-pointers and make lots of money and put those kids through college and buy that villa in Tuscany. I think I like that last one since my kids are already through college. So 9 habits to super momentum. Anybody have any questions? So just unmuted everybody there. I don't see anything down in the chat. Hopefully this is helpful stuff for everybody. Again, this is sort of talking about that internal stuff that's got to come from within each and every one of us. And I know that can be very tough for us. So happy to help anytime in any way we know we can. We'll have this recording put up at the BHHS Resource Center. And again, don't miss next week's class with Lisa Treadwell talking about how she built her business with a great system for doing mainly expired listings and some for sale by owners, and it worked beautifully for her. So take care. I'm going to close down the recording here, and we'll see you next time.